This is Brian Samborino, and you're listening to the Disruptive Consulting Podcast. It's my mission to help decision makers and business owners excel, so I'm bringing you some of the nation's top consultants and executives to break down the strategies that they've used to disrupt the average day to day process.
Who is your market?
Who is positive?
That's
How do you typically reach their parents?
CEOs knew it wasn't working. That's why they just can you come in here? And she always comes up.
I cannot say enough great things about someone. And
Everyone, so today we're here with Lorraine Duncan, founder of BizGone social media marketing firm. She's going to tell you a ton about what she does. So, Lorraine, please introduce yourself to everyone. Let them know what you do.
Sure. Of course, first, thanks for having me. I'm Lorraine, and I own a company called BizGone Social. I help people with their social media marketing so that they can work in their zone of genius. Not only do I do that, I'm known as the LinkedIn Ninja, and I literally get most of my clients through LinkedIn. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm also an author of a book called Shout It Out. So there you go. That's me in a nutshell. I love what I
It's available
do.
on
I
Amazon.
It's available on Amazon, and honestly, I never changed the price. So literally, if you're an Amazon Prime member, I think you can get it for free. And if you are an Amazon, if you're not, it's like 99 cents or something like that. So it's definitely, there's going to be a part two because it definitely needs some updating, but there's some really good stories in there. So, enjoy it.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. So, I want to. I think that I mean, you referred to yourself as a LinkedIn ninja, right? I like to ask oftentimes, how did you build this reputation? What did you do to get here? Because the whole purpose of this podcast is to have people that are, somewhat disruptive in their industry. So I want to make sure we highlight like how you really became this specialist in social, LinkedIn, all of these fields.
So I'm very much a big part of the whole, I don't know, trend, if you may call it, of relationship marketing. I really believe that relationships are the key to any kind of networking, any kind of going in person in networking. And I so around when COVID hit, maybe a little bit before that, I just was told by somebody just to double down on LinkedIn because that seems to be my sweet spot. And I just started to meet people on LinkedIn and start relationships with people that I probably never will do business with me, but I can call them a colleague and a friend. And some people I've done business with. And that all came from, it's kind of funny. This is an interesting story. It all came from one time connecting with somebody on LinkedIn. And then I got 3 paragraphs of basically buy my garbage. And I'm like thinking, how does that happen when I'm just meeting you? It's like if I said, hi, Brian, you wouldn't say, hey, Lorraine, I think you should buy my garbage. We would start talking, like, how long have you been doing what you're doing? How did you end up at this networking event? We would ask questions and start to get to know one another. And, or either that, or we've been introduced by someone else. So the bottom line is that I wanted to do things differently on LinkedIn. And I try when I reach out to somebody, I never ever send them, as soon as we connect, a 3 paragraph thing of garbage about me. Like literally, I think
Right.
that's just so rude.
Yes, I agree. I actually one time a marketing firm contacted me a while back. I was looking for one, and they contacted me and said LinkedIn packages 27.95 per month. And I asked them, what do we do on LinkedIn? And the thing that they were promoting the most was the outreach. So I even if it costs me $5 per month, I'm not a fan of that. I hate when people do it to me, you know. That I get Joe Smith, who's an insurance salesman out of California. He adds me and immediately starts talking to me about financial planning. Right? It's just not something that I find appealing. And honestly, I don't know how it works. I don't understand how anybody does it. Even if you have a bot, how many leads could you really bring in? You know, and it's terrible for building relationships. I'm sure you know this, but in my experience, I don't want to build a relationship with anybody that contacts me like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like I look, here's the big key. I think the big key for everyone out there who's listening and for if you want to just create relationships on LinkedIn is the first thing you really need to do before you hit that connect button is you need to actually look at their profile. You don't know how many people will connect with me saying that they want to do their social media. Well, if I'm a digital marketing agency, why would I need somebody to do my social media? I mean, seriously, just read somebody's profile because you'll learn something and you'll learn how to like have a conversation with them. I recently connected with somebody who went to my college. And so we had one thing in common. And I mean, I know that the canned messages that you get from the gurus out there say, well, connect with people from a college or from an organization you belong to and mention that in your connect note. Well, I think that's a bonus. Like if you're getting together, like I wouldn't open up with that. It's like, hi, I like your profile. I'd like to see if maybe we have a synergy together. Use your own words. Don't use those canned scripts that everybody gives you. There's a better way to do it. Just be yourself. I mean, I think that works. That's what makes me. I have like, I don't know. I have lots of followers on LinkedIn. I think when you connect with certain people, you automatically become a follower. So I literally pretty much have tried to know or have a conversation with every single one of the people that I'm connected with. And I have over like 7,000. I've met people at networking events, in-person networking events that like say I met, here's the thing. When you go in person to a networking event, whether it's in person or maybe in person on Zoom, you meet people. So that's a great way to connect with people on LinkedIn. And then once they connect, not everybody will connect with you. Then you have a follow-up conversation. And sometimes it warrants a Zoom chat. Sometimes it warrants, a couple back and forth. And hey, maybe if you need me down the road to introduce you to somebody that you're looking for, take a look at some of my people. I'm okay with that. So you got to be careful that with that though is leaving your profile open for people to look. So a lot of times people connect with you so they can connect with your connections. So you have a choice. You can turn off the settings and not do it. I kind of switch it when I'm doing like some heavy networking on LinkedIn. I kind of turn off my connections for a while.
Okay. So you have that's great. Thank you for the information. One thing that you noted, you mentioned followers. So you have like 7,000 something followers on there, but I mean from your show, right? We know you have a huge following there. Um, Before we get into really disrupting the space, do you want to tell everyone about a little bit about your show, introduce your podcast?
Yeah, well, it started out, it's called the Biz Gone Social Podcast. Such a unique word, name. I had no idea but it's like I'm about being social. I'm an extreme extrovert. In fact, during COVID, I was like, I needed a hug. It just was horrible just being trapped, So it was like I named it that and I started off solo. And here's the story. I got bored talking to myself, or
Mm,
it's like I needed to bring somebody in. And I realized when I did my first guest, there was like a synergy between the two of us. And I love that word synergy because you can either feel it or you can't feel it. And so it's like, the rest was history because what happened was I decided I was going to use my podcast, which is different than most podcasts. It's usually about a lot of information or it's educational, but mine is actually interviewing different business owners and learning from them because everybody that does business nowadays, especially those who really, they really work hard. And like I do a lot of brick and mortar and a few of, sometimes it's not even a business, but it's a nonprofit. And they've learned things over the years about how to do business. And I feel like there's these golden nuggets that we can learn from everybody's business, a little bit about what they do, but also about who they are as a person and what they've learned in their journey. So I think it's a really, I don't know, it's just morphed into this. I don't know where I just rebranded it again because I was tired of my little artwork. And so now I feel like my rebrand is a little bit energized and a little bit modern. And so I'm really
It's
excited
great.
about it.
Yeah, it really does look great. And I hear people talk like I've been contacted by a number of people about updating the LinkedIn profile, just the format, the template, everything that it said. And I really didn't think it was that important. But I mean, looking at the before and after of mine, amazing. Look at the before. I don't know exact. When did you? I love the ring the bell. By the way, it's just keep notifications on. That is very clever.
Yeah,
Uh,
I kind of changed things up. I just recently updated my LinkedIn profile. So I took more, I used to have like video testimonials on my featured section, and now I changed that. They're still there, those testimonials, but I put a few other things like my newsletters there now. I teach a lot about doing the newsletter, and I felt like, well, I didn't have a newsletter because I used to do a video blog, and then from there I moved to my podcast. So I kind of changed things up a little bit, and I always make sure that I'm always updating my headline and keeping things fresh because people
right.
notice that. People do read your profile. And you
And the
don't want to be
market
like,
changes.
yeah, and here's an interesting thing. You don't want to be like everyone else. I'm a social media manager. Well, that is boring, and so is everybody else. So I want to be a little bit, I want to be different, and I want to be known as, like that's why I put LinkedIn Ninja. Everybody always asks me about that. So it's like it's a conversation starter. It really is.
Absolutely. So what, I was just thinking about it. I think that what you've already described really describes how you're disruptive in your space. Not everyone thinks like you. Not everyone does what you do as well as you do it. Um, and of course we drive results, right? The next question that I always ask: how does technology influence your business? So I think that yeah, I mean, in this case, it's self-explanatory, right? But I'm gonna pivot this question a little bit, and I want to say, now with this influx of AI and Chat GPT and all of this, how does that influence? Are you familiar? This is gonna come out next week, so we could just say last week's launch. But I mean, the capabilities are incredible.
They are. I know that I don't know a lot about it yet. I do use some bots like on Instagram because I'm not really on Instagram a lot. But this chat, what is it? Chat CPG or
Chat GPT.
GPT. Okay, so everybody's talking about. I got 16 newsletters in my box about it.
Yeah,
On LinkedIn, I'm actually going to go to something about it because I don't know a lot about it. However, a colleague of mine posted an example of what happened to him when he was linked into the whole system, and it actually gave out false information about him. And honestly, it's something that I'm probably not going to open myself up to. I
right.
feel like I can generate, I mean, I generate leads through advertising and a few other venues. I don't really need this chat GPT or whatever, but who
Right,
knows? I'm a
right,
little bit concerned because you should have seen. I mean, it said that he wrote this book and it wasn't him that wrote that particular book or something like that. And there was a couple other false information. So the thing is apparently this chat actually gathers all your information, your online. And I do not know anything about this. I'm just guessing right now. But so I can't really like intellectually and be really smart about it right now because I don't know enough about it. But I've been hearing this and I hearing about it, and I've actually saved 6 of the newsletters because they're from reputable sources. and I will read and I'll read up on it. But if there's any way that I can disconnect from it, because if they're going to, I mean, there's like, how many Lorraine Duncans are there? There's a lot, by the way.
Right.
There really is. There actually is, and it's like it frustrates. I think there's a photographer, and she always comes up if I'm on if I'm doing something for a client, and I Google my name just for the heck of it. She always comes up first, and it's like, and then I come up second. Well, I want to be first. So Lorraine, your photographer, if you're listening to this, you need to like change your name or something. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm gonna, I think that if you're having someone next week on your podcast, that I feel that it's a really important, people really should be informed before they just say yes or open themselves up to whatever they're opening themselves up, and learn how to turn off any settings. Or I just don't know. Like I said, I know nothing about it. So I'm making it up as we go.
Oh man. Um, so I think I have two more questions. The first I also ask we have a set for anyone listening that doesn't know. We have a set list of questions. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Um, the first is, what is your greatest asset and what is your greatest liability? This could be personal, professional, any way that you'd like to spin it.
Probably my greatest asset is the way I'm able to connect with people. I am a huge master connector in many ways, and I love people's stories. I think everybody has a story to tell. And if they're not utilizing their stories to be able to, portray themselves in the way they want to be known online, what their online presence is. And it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be for business, but in this context, for me, my connections have been my biggest assets. The way I've been able to connect with people, even the way we met. I mean, where we have a certain synergy. We're in the same space, and so that's probably one of my biggest assets. Probably my nemesis is that I'm like, sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. I'm very curious. And so I can go
Okay.
down this route if I want to learn about something, if it's political, or if it's religious, or if it's any subject, and I want to learn about it, I'm going to go down that path and end up spending hours and hours, just because I love to read and I love to learn. So it's like sometimes I get sidetracked, but you're not going to sidetrack me with that chat GPT, because it's like, I'm going to go on vacation first and then I'm
Mhm.
going to read about it.
Right.
But no,
I
I do get
maybe on the
curious. And
plane.
what?
I said maybe on the plane.
Okay, maybe I might pick at it.
All right, so let's yeah, I just want to be able to give as much valuable information as we can to anyone listening. So, if you can give the average listener one tip uh, that you think anyone can use to master or become better at social media marketing, what would it be?
Would be decide. I really, and I'm big on being on all the platforms. So I'm not saying you have to be, on one platform. But what I am saying, take that one platform, whatever it is that you like, that you really resonate with, and just double down on that. Kind of like what I said earlier, is double downing. I double downed on LinkedIn. So if you could learn everything there is about it and learn how to use it for yourself, meaning, the way I use Facebook would be different the way you use Facebook. The way I use LinkedIn is going to be different the way you use LinkedIn. So find that and spend the time on it. Don't think, and here's the biggest thing, there is no magic bullet with social media marketing. It's whatever you do, whatever you're going to spend time doing in marketing, it's hard work. Where I've gotten today on social media is hard work. And I still haven't arrived. And there's still like, everything changes daily. The algorithms change. Sometimes weird things like shutdowns happen and on the different platforms. So there's a lot of things that sometimes you're advertising and it may work one day and the next day it doesn't work at all. So you're always constantly learning and changing and you're learning. And just remember, there's people there's people behind who you're sharing irrelevant information with. So make sure that you talk to them in the way that they can hear you. Too many times people are posting things that like I just can't relate to. And that it may be so for a lot of things, but the thing is try to make them, comment and have a conversation. And I think that would really, really help a lot.
you. Yeah, I agree. I think engagement is probably my most difficult. It doesn't matter how great the content is, but I noticed that when I put out a certain type of content, something more explanatory of a situation or uh, maybe a case study, I get a little better results than just saying like, "Hey, check out the latest episode of the Disruptive Consulting Podcast." Right. So it's been a pleasure. Let's wrap it up. I'd like to go out. Where can everyone find out about you? How can they connect?
Yeah, well, just if you connect with me on LinkedIn, that's the best place. There's a lot of stuff that you can do there. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Don't write that if you're going to connect with me on LinkedIn, don't write that canned note. So just it's LinkedIn at LinkedIn at the LinkedIn Lorraine Duncan, and I'm sure you'll put the link in the podcast for everybody. But that's the best way. Just look up Lorraine Duncan. I'm the one with the bright green banner, and so you'll find me. And I have the ring the bell. So it's like, and that's how you can have a first touch with me. And I think that's the best way.
And don't forget to listen to the Biz Gone Social podcast.
Absolutely.
That's where is that? Apple Music? Where else?
Yeah,
Spotify?
it's called the Biz Gone Social podcast. So don't add the. It's just Biz Gone Social podcast. And if you can, if you like, listen to Brian. Our interview is amazing, and you can, give us a rating and write a good review, and it will really help out listening. Getting the word out there with podcasts.
Great. Thank you, Lorraine. I appreciate you coming on the show, especially with only a couple weeks notice. So if I'm looking forward to working with you again. Thank you for your time. And this has been Disruptive Consult.